a Storybook how-to video. The Storybook app comes installed with Heritage Collector. This Storybook tutorial may be used to create any sized Storybook page that you would like. The only thing that you need to remember to do when creating a new page is to select the page size by clicking here. And so as you can see, there are many different sizes of Storybook pages that you can create. Creating a two-sided story memory card using the new Storybook Layers app that comes with Heritage Collector. Open Heritage Collector and then open the new Storybook Layers app. And there are two ways to do this. First, you can click on Books and then select SB Layers, or you can click on the Share tab and then click the Storybook Layers app. Note that this is the old Storybook app that you can still use. Click the Storybook Layers icon. The new Storybook Layers app will appear, as indicated by this green highlight. If this highlight is red, it would remind you that you're in the older Storybook app. To create a new Storybook, click on the Storybook menu and select New Storybook. I'm going to create a storybook called Edward Schultz Life Sketch. I need to create the storybook in an existing folder, and I have several. I could create a new folder if I don't have a folder that I would like to put it in. I'm going to put it in Edward Life Sketches. Click that and then click OK to create the new storybook in that folder. The first step is to come up here and select a size. I'm going to select 6 by 4 inch because I'm going to make it on an index card. The next step is to select a collection containing images that I would like to put on this card. I have many collections that I could choose from. If I select the Database button, I can select a database containing different collections. The asterisk indicates the database that I'm in. I'm going to continue in the Edward Schultz database. So I could change that by clicking on this and then clicking Open. It will be easier to create cards if you have previously created collections with the graphics that will be used to create the card. The Yellowstone NP collection is currently being displayed. I would like to select a different collection so that I can use images from that collection. To select a different collection to be used with this card, click on Select Collection. As you can see, I have many collections that I could choose from, and I might have a hard time remembering the images that are in each of these collections. So there's a little trick that you can do. If you look down on your taskbar, you should see the HC Pro icon down there. Click on that. So this will bring up the collections that I have created in Heritage Collector. I could scroll down to the Schultz Life Sketches and click on the different collections to see what is in a collection. And that's a fishing collection, Edward Life Sketch. And that is the collection that I want to use. So I'll minimize Heritage Collector by clicking the Minimize button, which puts it back down on the taskbar, and then I can come down and say, okay, the one that I wanted to select is Edward Life Sketch, and then do OK. And you can see that now I have different pictures that I can select from to place on my card. Here's a tip about creating storybook pages. Instead of just randomly selecting pictures to put on your card, start with images that will be in the back. In this example, I would like to have a border that goes around the edges of my card, and so I will select that first. But to do that, I will need to change this collection into one that has frames in it that I would like to use. So click Select Collection, then I'm going to scroll down to Edward Clip Art and select OK. And now you can see that the images that I have to choose from has changed. So I'm going to come over and left click on this image and drag it to the page, and then I'm going to resize it. So get a hold of the left handle and drag it so that it's getting bigger. Sometimes it's hard to get a hold of the image to drag it, to reposition it. So if you come over to the layers list and click it, that will reselect it, and then it will be a little bit easier to move. Now I would like to stretch this a little bit to the right, so I'm going to turn off the aspect ratio option by clicking on this button, and then I can just drag this and stretch it without stretching the whole image. And I want to drag it down just a little bit. So now I have my background selected. So this object will now be behind all of the images that I place on top of it. So now I'm ready to add some images to this card, and I'll need to change to a different collection. So select collection, and I know from previously looking at this that I want Edward Life Sketch collection. Okay. And now you can see I have different images to select. So the first one I'm going to select is a picture of my dad when he was young. So I left click and drag it, left click and then reposition it. Then I want the next picture. And finally I want a more recent picture of my dad. Okay, so I kind of like that. I could work on the positioning a little bit. And there are more options that you can choose, but we're going to keep this simple. I could come over here and hold down my Control key and select these and turn them into a group. And the advantage of that now is that these all move together. And I could click this to ungroup it. The last thing I want to add to this front page of my card is some text. So come up and click the text tool, and you can see there's a white space and a attributes bar. So I'm going to click in there and type Edward Schultz. Now I'm going to want this to be a lot bigger, so I'm going to left click and drag over it. I want it to be bold, so I'll click B, and then I can start clicking on the size of the font right here, and you can see that it's getting much bigger. So I click on the box to select it. Now again, it may be helpful if I come over here and click on the text object, and then there are some little handles, and you can see them right here. So I'm going to drag this to the left, and I'm going to move this up, and then when I double click on this again, and then I'm going to come over here and select Center Text. That's not quite right, so I'm going to take it all the way over, and now I have Edward Schultz. Now I could come up and do a double click and then hit enter and type in Life Sketch. And then click anywhere on the card to go out of the text object. Now in this case I need to stretch this down so that that will still show. And maybe I would like to make the Life Sketch be smaller. So I'm going to come up here and reduce the size. And then left click anywhere on the card. Now you can see I have Edward Schultz. Oh gee, I think I'd like his middle initial in there. So I'm going to double click on that again, put my cursor in there, and type my H key and period. And period. So now I've got Edward H. Schultz Life Sketch. Click down here, anywhere. So the last step is to create the card. And you do that by clicking the Save button. This is going to be my cover page, and so I'm going to call it Edward Schultz. I'm going to do LS for Life Sketch, and then I'm going to do, I could do front or I could do 1, but to keep this shorter, I'm just going to put 1 in here. So that would be like for the first page. And then I'm going to click OK. And you can see it's appearing up here now, Edward Schultz LS1. So that's the first page. I would like this to be a two-sided card, so I will need to create another page. Click the Pages menu and select New Page. The first thing that I'm going to do to the back side of this card is to create a title. So I will select the text tool, and I'm going to come down here and click and type Edward H. Schultz Life Sketch. I'm going to hit the Enter key. I'm going to type my name by Marlo E. Schultz. Now I need to reposition this, so I'm going to get a hold of this little handle right here. I'm going to drag it to the right and then to the left. Then I'm going to left click and drag it up to the top. I'm going to double click so this will come back up. I want it to be bold. I'll highlight it and then I'll click bold, and then I'm going to increase the size of the font by clicking here. As you can see, it's getting bigger. And then I'm going to center it by clicking right here and selecting Center Text. I want my name to be smaller and not in bold, so I'm going to highlight it and left drag over it, deselect bold, and I'm going to change it to a smaller font size. And I like that, so that will be how I leave that. I'm now going to enter the text, which came from his obituary. So I will select the text tool and begin typing. The text was entered into 2 sections. The second section was formatted so that a QR code could be added right here. A QR code was previously created to link to a video or a PDF. The QR code was saved in the Edward Life story. So left click, drag the code over here, drag it up, left click and hold and drag to resize it, and then reposition it. The last step to save the card is to click the Save button. I'm going to type in Edward Schultz LS2 and then click OK, which will save and create the back of the card. And you can see up here we now have Edward Schultz LS2. Step-by-step documentation for this video may be obtained from our heritagecollector.com website.